Scripture lesson this morning is from John's Gospel, chapter 16, verses 19 through 24, 32 and 33. Jesus knew that they wanted to ask him, so he said to them, "Are you discussing among yourselves what I meant when I said, 'A little while, and you will no longer see me, and again a little while, and you will see me'? Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will have pain, but your pain will turn into joy. When a woman is in labor, she has pain because her hour has come. But when her child is born, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy of having brought a human being into the world. So you have pain now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. On that day you will ask nothing of me. Very truly I tell you, if you ask anything of the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, so that your joy may be complete. The hour is coming, indeed it has come, when you will be scattered, each one to his home, and you will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. I have said this to you, so that in me you may have peace. In the world you face persecution, but take courage. I have conquered the world."
In John 16:33, Jesus tells his disciples, in the world you have persecution, tribulation, trials, and many challenges. But take courage, I have overcome the world. It's a message that we love to embrace, and the thought that Christ is with us, and that the world has already been overcome is wonderful. But at the same time, each one of us deals with things every day that makes that really difficult. But yet, the way Jesus talks about it, he makes it sound like it's really easy. I can see him with his disciples waving his hands across his body with the, "It'll be fine, I've got this, guys." Really, guys? In the world you have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world. It's easy. And if I'm standing there with Jesus in that minute, it's, "Oh, okay, that's great. That's awful. Awesome, I love it." But the tribulation or circumstances that we have had or have witnessed in this world can really tear us apart. Have you had that feeling, you know, the one that sits down in the pit of your stomach when you think that something has gone wrong, you're not sure, or something will go wrong and you can't do anything about it, or something is in the middle of going wrong and you can't stop it? Have you ever thought at that minute of desperation and defeat and discouragement where you think that the world is specifically trying to make your individual life difficult? In John 16, Jesus gives us examples 4 times about the tribulation of this world that we will experience. He uses words like weep and lament and anguish and grief. All of these he's using in the context of explaining to his disciples that he will soon leave them. In each of these circumstances, he also tells them that each of these painful emotions will be replaced and can be replaced with joy, the joy of his resurrection. When Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for the world, he did it completely out of the love of God. The gift of his sacrifice was the release of the Holy Spirit for all of us who would believe. The Holy Spirit came to live within us, but not because of a single one of us did something to deserve it. He's here in our lives simply by the grace of God. Can you even comprehend, because I have trouble with it many times, that within each one of us there is a minuscule piece of God, that through that Holy Spirit, God said, "I put a piece of myself in you." And how can that possibly be? I look at my life that's a mess on most days, and it's like, how can I have anything in here that came from God? What did we do to get that? And the answer is absolutely nothing. We did nothing. We personally did nothing. We weren't here at the time, right? If you go back to the actual facts, God gave humanity the present, the prize of eternal life, and the guidance of the Holy Spirit before we were even born on this earth. We were nowhere around, before our direct ancestors were even born. It was already here. Can you believe it? We got the ultimate something for nothing. And it happened thousands of years ago. And all we had to do, was one tiny, tiny little thing. We had to invest a few moments of time. We had to invest one brief moment. And in that moment, we had to squirm away from the grip of the world. We had to humble ourselves completely and tell God that we believed in the life, the death, and the resurrection of His Son. We won eternity's lotto, and we didn't even pay $1 to get into the race. In fact, we can win God's ultimate prize, every single human on this earth, in 30 seconds, in 5 minutes, and however long it takes for us to gather that tiny spark that somebody has shared with us, that somewhere along the line we were able to capture and pull it into our lives. For me personally, I won the eternal gift at the age of 10 in the basement of the Calvary Baptist Church in Brutus, Michigan. Tiny little church in the middle of nowhere. But I remember vividly that day. It was a normal Sunday morning, and Mom and Dad loaded the 6 of us kids into the car and took us to Sunday school, because we always went. And I remember after that day, walking back out to the car that morning, after Sunday school, and after taking that few minutes with the guidance of someone there at that church that I don't even remember. Although they seem like a huge old person to me, but I know for a fact they were probably like a high school student or maybe a college student or something, but they were just, wow, this big, scary person to me. But I remember walking out of there feeling light, like I could walk above the ground, as if the weight of the world had been lifted off of me, as if I was carrying any kind of burden when I was 10. But I still remember it, like it felt like, wow, the world is great. Why aren't people, and I remember that the thought of, why are people unhappy? I just learned something. Doesn't everybody know this? But for the next 40 years, and let's not do math here, but for the next 40 years, the world seems to have tried to pile the burden on, piece by stone, by snowflake, by whatever it is, little tiny bit at a time. We've all had times in our lives that are heavier than others. There's no doubt about it. Some of those heavy times are understood by those that are close to us as we work through the known struggles of life, such as injury and sickness and disappointment and death. Those close to us see us going through those circumstances. And when it comes to it, we know that every single human on this earth understands that those circumstances do exist. We will have struggles. God, in the form of Jesus, told us that way back when. He said, sorry guys, you're going to have tribulation, but don't worry, I got this, right? I've overcome the world. How can we possibly, though, get through the circumstances of life and get to the joy that Jesus talked about? How do we get there? Back to John 16. As Jesus was warning his disciples of his imminent death, he very quickly took them to the punchline. Therefore, in verse 33, you will have to grieve now, but I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice, and no one will take your joy away from you. The resurrection of Christ and the gift of the Holy Spirit gave us that peace of God, that tiny piece of God inside of us that allows us to strive every day to live with a sense of joy in all things. In Galatians 5:22, God tells us about the fruit of the Spirit. If you remember, and I always have trouble because there's a lot of them, in the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, and then all the nesses. Kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, all wrapped up with self-control. Against these things, there is no law. So that tiny little piece that you have that was given to you by God on the day that you made that 30-second commitment of belief, that's all they're already there. Every single one of those things is already here. As a Christian, these things are in us, in you, the seeds are there. Not because of that they're your personality. And a lot of times we get into fall in the trap that, well, that's a happy person. She's a joyous person. Oh, they're patient. And we talk about these things as though they're something that we were born with. And that's wrong. God gave every one of those fruits to us, that seed of each one of those, on the day that we made that commitment to Him. They were placed in you when you made that 5-minute investment into eternity's model. God did that already for us. So what are you doing with your seeds? How are you cultivating them? Why is it so hard for us to keep joy in our daily lives? Well, the world around us works really hard to sell us a story that happiness is just a moment away. You're almost there. Happiness is just this close. And I can guarantee you get it if you buy that car or check this cell phone out. It is the coolest cell phone today, and if you get it, that will make you happy. Your kids, guarantee you, they think it'll make them happy. But it's just a phone. It's the brand of clothes we wear, or that special brand of organic yogurt that you love. It's got to be that one brand with that pretty little thing on it, and not these other 18 brands that now have popped up in the store. No, it's that certain one. Or for the ladies around, if happiness comes in this little jar that you smear on your face at night, and in the morning, the wrinkles will be gone. Right? We know it. It says it right there on the label. What else? What other thing is actually trying to convince you of being happy? Well, there is lots and lots of money and people in this world that are working very hard to create the next consumer need for happiness. Lots and lots of folks out there have jobs every day. They're trying to figure out how can we get these people to spend their money on something that will make them happy, right? At the same time, so in the middle of this, where we have this bombardment of buy this, buy this, buy this, and you'll be happy. At the same time, with the same advertising, we have that the world is telling us that if we don't have a perfect life, we must be doing something wrong. We must be failing. So again, you go back to the great ads of the young couple that's in the great car with the 2 perfect kids that have perfect teeth when they were born, apparently. And they hold that up to us and say, well, if that's not what you have, then you're doing something wrong. You better hurry up and grab onto one of these other things, because I'm sure you'll find some happiness there. And for me, I've spent some time trying to understand where is the happiness in those things, and how do we get back to the joy, because that can't be the joy that Jesus wanted us to chase. So there's a researcher named Brene Brown that spent the last 10 to 15 years studying something really interesting: vulnerability and its ugly twin, shame. So now that, to me, doesn't sound like a great topic to study at all. Vulnerability and shame. But the results are fascinating and relevant to what we do in our lives. She tells stories about how our pursuit of happiness and perfection, as defined by our world today, has literally created the most obese, addicted, medicated adult cohort in history. This generation right now, in those elements, is the worst that we've ever been. We are chasing happiness as defined by the world. And when it is impossible, which it is, when it's impossible to live up to these ridiculous standards, we numb ourselves. How can we possibly live up to those things? So we find ways that we try to give ourselves a little micro boost of happiness because we fall short of what everybody thinks we should be. In reality, what we fall short of is what we think we should be. Because our biggest critic is not the one that's sitting around looking at us. It's the one here that every minute of every day is looking at us and seeing, do we measure up, do we measure up, do we measure up? It's us. We don't often know how to deal with the disappointment of not measuring up. To drive the point home, Brene Brown likes to remind us that in our generation, we have become so focused on the pursuit of daily happiness that, in fact, women will take fat from their butts and inject it in their lips. Can you even imagine a world where we've turned Botox and Rogaine and, there's a list of 100 things that we took them from, there are times and places where some things are needed, into, oh my goodness, I'm not perfect. Why don't I, take some fat and put it in my lips? Oh my Lord. I hope that somewhere we understand that's insane. And for us, it's easy to understand that, but there are just as crazy things that we do every single day driven by the world around us. We think it brings us closer to the world's vision of perfection. And we think that when we do those things, it'll bring us happiness. In the middle of all this craziness that the world is calling normal now, we're still dealing with the tribulations that Jesus told us we would have. Remember, the world is full of imperfect people who are guaranteed, either intentionally or clearly unintentionally, to do things that will impact our circumstances. So even if we actually live outside of the standards of the world, if we get it and we can look at that mess that says, here's perfection, and say, no, I reject that. That isn't perfection. I'm living from a different place, and God's given me a different view of perfection. Even when we live in that world and don't fall into that trap, we still have a crazy notion of the perfect example of what the world calls successful. We still have to deal with the daily circumstances. So even if we can say, nope, not chasing that ghost, not going to be perfect, but still in that life that we have centered around the Lord, there is death, and there is disappointment, and there's pain, and there's medical problems, and there's great things that we see that don't seem fair, that don't seem right. Young children are killed, adults are killed, craziness. Things happen every day to great people. But Jesus knew this, and he still told us to take courage when he had overcome the world. How does this help us? How do we do that? Well, Joyce Meyer, in her series on the fruit of the Spirit, talks about Satan and how Satan will use our daily circumstances. So we got rid of the big things, and now we have our daily circumstances. Satan will grab onto those daily circumstances that this world gives us and will run us ragged and try to steal the joy of the Lord from us. That's one of our primary messages. And I love that because it reminds us that Satan uses every single opportunity to take the tribulations that are a part of our everyday life and use them to divert our thoughts away from the fruit of the Spirit. So what can we do? Satan wants us to be distracted. He wants us to feel disconnected. What we can do is work hard to take our tiny worlds and make them bigger. To change our perspective, our filter, our lens, how we see the world. We can gather up all of our faith and we can invest it in living with a sense of joy. We can invest it in being joyful. So how do we get that? How do we take faith and grow joy? We can stop concentrating on ourselves and our own circumstances. Our circumstances, we cannot control. Stop trying to do it. Stop thinking you can. Stop thinking you can control the circumstances around those you love. With our faith in our hand, we turn the love of God outward. Joyce Meyer likes to say, Lord, help me get myself off my mind. Because when all you're doing is thinking of yourself, then every tiny bump is a mountain. Because your world just closes down on you. You're thinking about what you're dealing with today. And you lose the joy in the world that's walking around everywhere. Help me, Lord. Show me how I can be a blessing to someone else. When all we do is focus on ourselves, that world really becomes tiny. And we get tossed around by even the smallest changes in the circumstances in our life. We are planning to have dinner at 2, and our guests show up at 1:15. Oh my Lord. I didn't have the snacks out on the table. I didn't have the napkins folded. And we go into this, oh my goodness, I'm not ready. And we make a tragedy out of something that's crazy. It's just, our friends got there early. I love you. Awesome. Great. Thanks to see you. Hey, want to help me while I fold my napkins? But no, we are trained that, man, this world is telling us we got to be perfect. And every little detail in it, it's got to be perfect. But when we focus on doing something for others, then our worlds become large. Like that little thing of, how can you give a present to somebody else? How can you be nice to somebody else? In a huge world, it's possible to find joy every day. If you're limiting yourself to your tiny world, then the circumstances of your life, Satan will take those and pull that string and spin you like a top every single day. He has that ability to do that to you. Don't be fooled. We must understand that when we focus on God's love on someone else, when we focus that love on someone else, we are naturally allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. So it's pretty easy in the middle of serving the world that when you start opening your heart and you allow your love of Christ to show and you allow your weaknesses to show, somebody out there has the opportunity to hurt you. We are serving the whole world, not just the ones that we think are worthy. God did not discriminate when he sent Christ to the cross. He died for all of us. As a result, when you begin to openly seek ways to be a blessing to others, I guarantee you that that vulnerability will be there and that you may be taken advantage of. It's epic. It's going to happen if that's where your life is. Don't run away from this. This is why you must bank your faith on joy. Even when doing good, Satan will work hard to find ways to convince you to make your world small again. But when you're concentrating on a larger world, your personal bumps in the road become just that. The mountainous size of everything that's in front of us. Somehow when we let the world be as big as it is and help those around us and be a blessing to those around us, we take ourselves off our minds. And the bumps in the road are just bumps in the road. It becomes very, very, very small in comparison to the joy in your life that you receive from sharing the love of God. The mountain in our life is the love of God. The circumstance in our life is the bump in the road. And we can't be confused by that. For me, and my family knows, I've always liked to watch children's movies and kids' movies because they're happy. They're awesome. One of the movies that I really enjoyed is about the book by C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I don't know if any of you have actually seen it, but C.S. Lewis does a spectacular job of trying to explain life through the minds of children and help them see the big picture. So in that movie, there's four primary characters, two brothers and two sisters. Three of the characters, one of the sons and two daughters, are searching for their brother that's been lost. And in fact, they're trying to rescue their brother because their brother betrayed them and left them. And so the three of them are being guided on a journey to find their brother, to help their brother. As they crested a hill overlooking an immense valley, and were told that the help they needed was out there as far as they could see. Peter said, the oldest son, said, "But it's so large." And the response from their guide was, "It's the world, dear. Did you think it would be small?" And the younger sister says, "Well, smaller." And I think we fall into that trap. We like to keep our world small because it's comfortable, because we think that keeping our world small makes it all less overwhelming, and it makes it feel like it's under control. The reality that Jesus teaches us is that living with a sense of joy means opening up our world and lifting our world out of the circumstances that Satan uses each day to discourage us. Find a way to be a blessing today and every day. It takes a large deposit of faith. But the prize is not only eternal life in heaven, which is the prize, but in addition to that, along the way, when we open ourselves up and be blessings to everyone else, we have joy here on earth also, as we wait that reunion with the Lord.